So President Trump has imposed a 25% tariff on nearly all goods imported from Canada, and he's been saying, you got to work with us. You've got to secure the northern border. You've got to stop the drug cartels, the drugs, and the human smuggling that is happening on our northern border. And everybody's like, oh, no, Canada would never do that. That's not a problem. Okay, it is a problem. It's a border. It's a problem, and it's porous. All of them are. We've got to do something about it and ask our friends on our border to help us. Well, they're not. 60 Minutes went up. I couldn't believe this was on 60 Minutes over the weekend. But they had a cartel smuggler on 60 Minutes. How does 60 Minutes... I mean, is that in the phone book? Where do you find a cartel smuggler? But they found one, and he went on record, and he said, I'll always find a way to get people illegally across the border. Here's a piece of what he said.
This video was reported in January. A group of men who just crossed the border ran to an SUV that drove them deeper into New York. You'll also see a woman getting out of the car and go north to Canada. This man told us he coordinated the handoff and took the video.
Can you tell us who you work for?
Cartel de Sinaloa.
For the Sinaloa cartel.
He goes by the name Javi and agreed to speak with us only with his camera off. He said he can't risk his identity being exposed.
How does this work? They tell you where to go? They tell you how many people you have to bring across each week?
Exactamente, así es.
Exactly. That's how it goes. They provide the people. They have more people who are behind all this, looking for customers, finding them, and summoning them to certain locations.
We found Javi through his online ads, which he says TikTok recently took down.
Wow. Here he is talking about smuggling babies and fentanyl across the border.
What's the youngest child you've ever crossed?
3 meses.
3 months.
3 meses.
Yes, babies.
What happens if one of the migrants you're working with doesn't pay?
They cannot go. They're held hostage until they pay up.
Until what?
Until they pay.
Do you work only with humans, or do you move drugs also?
Todo.
Everything.
How much fentanyl do you move across that border?
Lately, it's been quiet, but for a while there, we were bringing in 30 kilos per month.
Wow. The drugs come from China?
From China.
The China.
I get more into the U.S., but also it goes from the U.S. to Canada, and weapons.
Interesting, isn't it? So that's what we're dealing with. And I don't know if you saw the video of the people that, you know, were boarded up on airplanes and sent to, where was it? Not Venezuela, but El Salvador. Did you see that? Trump posted this amazing video. Guys didn't see this? Oh, we got to look it up and play it. It's this amazing video of the plane arriving in El Salvador and them getting on the plane, getting off the plane, and then, you know, ankle and bracelets on their wrists, walking hunched down into this new prison. And I got to tell you, that video itself, if I were thinking about coming here, I would immediately go, I'm not going there. If that's what happens to you, I am not going there. It sent such a strong, strong message. This is how we treat people who are coming here who are bad guys. Now, this is the one that Trump is, or that the administration is in court now because an activist judge is like, you can't just do that. You know what? Why? Well, because you didn't vet them. No, I tell you what we did. We gave them exactly the same kind of vetting that the last president gave when he let them all in. None. Now, these people were on a list, okay? Doesn't mean that we're all gang members, but you're here illegally. Bye-bye. I know that sounds heartless, but I really believe that they all need to go home. All of them need to go home. And a lot of these people were not just on a list. They were known to be gang members, and a lot of them had committed crimes here in America. Bye-bye. See ya.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I heard some of these people are like, some of these people don't even have criminal records in America. Well, first of all, if they're here illegally, to me, they have a criminal record, right? They act like this is not a crime. Well, there's a law, okay? And I understand there's some nuance within that law, but like there's a law. You're not supposed to come here. They know they're not supposed to come here. Many of them had criminal records at their home country and not here. Again, does that mean that we're going to leave them here?
No,
because they didn't commit a crime that we know of yet here. I mean, the point is to prevent those, right? It's possible, right, that they made a mistake. There are some claims that a couple of these people should not have been going to prison, and even if they should be deported to their home country, if they didn't commit a major crime, they don't necessarily need to go to the El Salvadorian lockup. All that being said, find those problems, solve those problems, right? I mean, I liked what Elon Musk said about this in the White House a couple of weeks ago when he was asked about it, and they said like, hey, and this has happened with Doge. Hey, you posted you saved $1.9 billion, and actually that had been canceled in the previous administration. And he said, yeah, we're not going to get everything right. Like when we notice one of those things, we're going to fix it, and we'll get it fixed right away. Like that is actually a normal human way of dealing with an issue like that. And I think it's so weird in Washington to hear it, but like that's okay. Now, if you happen to be the person who was sent to this prison, you're not going to like it very much. But
you shouldn't have been here in the first place.
But you shouldn't. That's the point. Like there is an initial thing that puts you into this bucket. If you commit a crime by crossing into this country, which we have warned you not to participate in, if you do that, there are consequences to it. And, if you're wrongly sent to this prison, they should absolutely correct those mistakes.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, every message he is sending is the exact opposite message that Biden was sending.
Yeah.
He's sending right now, what Biden was sending is, even if you're a terrorist, even if you're a murderer, we're not really going to check. So come on in, you're fine. Now, you might be a good person. You might be, a dad of 16, whatever, and you're just coming in, but
no,
we don't know.
Yeah, but no,
we don't know. So don't come. Leave right now. Leave on your own. He is begging people to self-deport. And when you see the video, I got to play it for you. It is amazing. When you see this video, it is. I watched it. I was like, oh, we have it. Yeah, go ahead and play this. Watch this. Shows the airplane. Now here they come down the stairs. And look how they're all marched in a line. And they're all being marched right into this maximum security prison compound. And no thank you.
Doesn't look great.
Does not look great. Look at that. No thank you.
And this is Bukele who actually tweeted this to the president of El Salvador.
Yeah. I mean, you are not...
Shaving heads here.
Yeah. If you are thinking about coming to the country or you're here illegally, would you not be packing up everything right now and going, yeah, I'm not going to...
Why mess with it, right? It's the messaging. As much as we've always been very, very difficult or tough on illegal immigrants, it's true. There's always been a part of me that does acknowledge the fact that we treat and have for decades treated illegal immigration kind of like it's a speeding ticket, right?
Correct.
You shouldn't do it.
Correct.
But we're not really going to do much about it.
Correct.
And if I were in a situation like some horrible country that everything was overrun, we were all poor. Would I risk a speeding ticket? Yeah, maybe. Me too. This is going to surprise people. Occasionally, I drift a couple of miles an hour over that speed limit here in the United States. That's off the record for anyone listening. But occasionally that happens, and I do it for almost no gain. I do it because I want to get home 13 seconds faster. If your entire family was,
you got all that recorded, right? Okay, go ahead.
Was devastated.
Yeah.
You and the United States government was constantly sending you the signal. Sure, it's kind of like breaking the rules, but don't worry about it. We got sanctuary cities here for you. The president was in a debate. He just won, Joe Biden, and he told you, what should we do with illegal immigrants? We should welcome them. That's the real policy. It almost takes away a good chunk of the responsibility of the illegal immigrant. That's how bad our policy has been. The policy is different now. The policy has been communicated quite clearly to anyone who would consider coming here.
Yeah. Or is here illegally.
Yeah. Get out.
Get out. Get out. And he's doing all of this to not have to round people up. He's starting with the worst of the worst and showing the examples of what is happening to them to say to you, please make the right decision. Leave on your own. We don't want to round you and your family up. We don't want you to go through this. You have an opportunity. In fact, if you let us know, we're going to give you a special pass that means you could come back to the country and apply for citizenship. Not ahead of the line, but you can. If we catch you here and you haven't self-deported and you're totally a law-abiding citizen, you're never coming back. You're on a list. You're never allowed to come back. Okay? He's sending these messages and telling people, I think with compassion, hey, we might come for you one day. You really should leave now. We don't want to make this an ugly thing. You came in the wrong way. Sure, we encouraged it, whatever, but not anymore. And this has to be done or we turn into Europe. Why is no one looking at what's happening to Europe and concerned? I was talking to a friend last night, kind of in the circle of the know, and he said, I think the world is preparing for a three-front war. And I was like, wait, that doesn't sound good. He said, look at the actions. Look at what's happening around the world right now. He said, it could go horribly wrong with Europe. And it appears that there are players on all sides that want to have a war in Europe. You can make your own decisions on if that's true and why. But also in the Middle East, everybody is preparing for war and preparing for a possible war with Iran. And then China is preparing for war. And if there is a huge war in the Middle East, then we're brought into it, and a war in Europe, and we're brought into it, you don't think the third leg would stand up and take Taiwan? They'd take it in a heartbeat, because we would not be able to fight a 3-theater war. We just are not prepared for it. And the one in Europe, if we're fighting in Europe, we're approaching a place to where that could be a 100-year war, because that'll all be about ideology. And we're not talking the Russians. We're talking about the Islamic State. They're all these Islamists have been brought in, and then they change, and then they have no-go zones, and then they set up Sharia courts. Do you think that's going to stop at some time? France, Germany, Holland, Sweden. Do you really think all of a sudden they're going to go, but that's enough. We're not going to go past this. We're going to have our Sharia courts. But we respect you Lutherans over here. Of course not. Of course not. They have to take care of their own countries and the population that has been moving in that is destroying their countries and making them an enemy of the freedoms of mankind. I don't want to deal with it. They need to. But we're in the same boat. We must protect the homeland. We'll never be able to save anyone if we don't save ourselves first. If we don't know who's here, we don't control the crime in our own cities, we don't have cheap and effective energy, we don't have an educated, not miseducated, but an educated population, a hardworking population, a population that understands its own country, its own history, and its own values, you don't survive. You don't survive. So we have a very clear job that we have to do. And I think Donald Trump is doing a good job of it so far. But the rest of it is up to us. But we must act. I mean, I really think that God does what we can't do. I couldn't have stopped that bullet. Couldn't have done it. Nobody could have stopped that bullet. God stopped that bullet from hitting him. I've never seen anything like that. If that wasn't a clear, almost Moses parting the Red Sea style miracle, I don't know if I've ever seen one then. That was a miracle. But God does the things we can't do. We now have to do the things that we have to do. And one of those things is, if you want the government to be less powerful, we have to stop giving it power. If you want the government to do less, we have to take on the responsibility to do more in our own communities, neighborhoods, and family. That's the way we fix this thing. But the time to fix it is right now. We may only have another 3 years, and who knows what happens in 3 years? Let's make sure we're doing all the hard work ourselves right now.